Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. The Philadelphia 76ers have been playing really well of late due to their play at the defensive end of the floor, in my opinion. So let's look at some numbers real quick. They have a 111.3 defensive rating, which has fluctuated heavily. They have a top 5 percentile half-court defense. They're holding teams to low shooting percentage. They're rebounding really well and forcing turnovers. But this video is going to specifically look at their ball screen defense, which is kind of elite. They're holding teams to 0.961 point per possession, shooting pretty low field goal percentage and effective field goal percentage, forcing some turnovers, and teams are only scoring 43% of the time. So now let's dive into the film and see what they do against teams in the pick and roll. Let's kick it off by looking at their primary coverage, which is drop coverage. Having a big man like Joel Embiid makes it really easy for Philly to get into drop coverage and be successful in it, but it all starts with being good at the point. So these first few clips, I just want to talk about the guy on the ball. They typically like in the middle of the floor, forcing into the action, and then if it's on the side of the floor, downing or icing those screens. But at the end of the day, the responsibility of the on-ball defenders to do anything and everything to get back in front and make a play on the ball. All these clips, you see the guy, whether he's going under or over the screen, staying connected, being physical at the point, and just making a play happen. Their presence on the ball is what allows Joel Embiid, Montrezl Harrell, Paul Reed, and any other big man to be successful in that drop. Just being connected, being active, and making it hard on the ball handler to get a good look, be able to move freely, is just what makes this defense and this coverage so successful. But now let's look at the drop a little bit more, starting with the three other guys on the floor. So when it's a 1-2 spacing pick and roll, you see that they load up the lane line on the weak side. Strong side guys pretty active in the gap and stunting. This next clip here against the Lakers, we're going to get another example of this. You got the step-up ball screen, the gap on the strong side is pretty active. The low man's ready to shrink in, but basically load up the weak side lane line, and the strong side gap is there if needed, but they're just in a spot to just recover out to the shooter or help at the rim. This clip here against Portland, we're going to freeze it real quick and just show that they have that denial on the threat, but the bottom of the box is loaded. They make the box priority with the drop in the middle. Here against the Clippers, one last freeze frame. We're active against Kawhi being more up in the gap, but the weak side is loaded up, ready to make a play in the paint if necessary. And one last note with this 2-1 spacing is that at high side gap, they really like him being active, getting at the nail, and making plays from there. But now in 3 wide spacing, we're going to have the drop happen. They load the rim early, and they load up the strong side elbow nail area very early in the possession. They have that triangle spacing weak with that third guy spacing out, zoning up, being able to cover anyone on the perimeter, and just being in space. But they really do load the rim and the nail early, making it hard for offenses to get good looks at the rim. And it's just a huge part, allowing the drop man to really cover the ball, stop the ball first, and know that he has guys behind him ready to rotate, ready to make plays at the rim, and ready to make things difficult for the offense, regardless of who the roller is, who the ball handler is. They know that they can get that stop and know that there's help ready. Now let's look at the hard show. The hard show is their primary look outside of the drop. But the first thing is the 3 other guys outside of the action. They flatten out most of the time in that middle pick and roll with 2-1 spacing. Flattening out allows there to be a guy at the rim and 2 guys wide to zone up and also stunt at the ball, stunt at the roller. Here against Portland, we got James Harden flattening out, and then there was an X out to rotate back out to the shooters. The spots in which they use the hard show are either against the threat, like here against Kyrie Irving, and in previous and future clips against Damian Lillard, or in tough switch situations where it's Tobias Harris or George Niang, just somebody that they don't want to switch onto the perimeter, but they're mobile enough to show and get back and recover. But then to go back to the 3 other guys on the floor, when it is a hard show on a 3-man space, they do the same thing that they do in drop coverage. It's just an early load at the rim, early load at the nail, and the third guy zones up. Really just an effective way to stop the ball handler, still apply pressure with the show, and still have that help load it behind you at the rim, at the nail, and then somebody zoning up behind both of them to make a play if the ball gets back out there. Just really good, and I like how they have that variety and ability to put a lot of pressure on the ball handler at any given time with the show. Now, when it comes to switching, they like switching 1 through 4. They're more aggressive in their switchability, that they peel switch and get up into the ball. Here against Utah, it's a great clip where Maxey is going to stay connected to Jordan Clarkson and peel off. He's going to go over the screen, then stay connected to Clarkson, and that's how they like switching. They're going to stay connected to the ball as long as possible. Once the other guy comes up, they're going to wrap around, peel off, and grab the screener. Just an effective way to apply pressure, stay connected to an action, and just make it harder for an offense to find openings and get advantages against a switching defense. Now, there's also some nuance to this, though. They don't like switching guys like George Niang, James Harden sometimes, Tobias Harris, but they do if they have to. And a last nuance point is that Joel Embiid is switchable if the ball touches the paint. Here against the Clippers, the ball got a deep paint touch. Joel was there. He rotates out and makes a play on the ball on the perimeter. But the whole nuance to this coverage and their ability to be such an elite ball screen defense is Joel Embiid. He's one of the most elite drop men in basketball. He understands when and where to be. He understands how to cover space. He's such an incredible athlete with his size and strength also that he's able to move around the floor, make plays. He could be up at the level of the screen. He can drop deep. He can just throw so many looks at an offense, and he already has such a great feel for the game that he just does an awesome job at being at the right place at the right time and to make the right play. He does a good job in the paint at playing without fouling, and just his overall ability to just be a presence, be a force on the interior makes it tough for offense to get paint touches, get paint shots when he is in the game. And that's what makes Philly so successful, is that Joel Embiid is the heart and center of their defense and their offense, and he's a guy that is reliable at both ends of the floor. And defensively, to wrap things up, he's just so elite at covering the paint, taking up space, and making plays down there. But to wrap things up, the Sixers have an elite defense this year, and a huge part is their ability to stop the ball screen attack. It's one of the most effective and used actions in basketball, and the Sixers are doing a really good job at stopping it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something about the Philadelphia 76ers and their defense. For more content like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you in the next one.